Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It's Thursday, January the 3rd. I'm David Knight, and here are our top stories.
Tonight, the age of cell phone cameras and live streaming video has placed extra scrutiny on the behavior of police. And Texas cop Nicholas Juarez will arrest you if you dare to film him. Then, the Bilderberg elite are also angry over constant exposure. And Quick Draw Obama goes for immigration reform and strict gun control as the battle for the Republic continues. Up next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
Well, tonight we've got some important breaking news from Illinois about gun ban that's being attempted there. Alex Jones is going to be filling us in on that. But before we get started, let's cover some of the breaking news nationally. You know, a lot of people have been watching football this last week, but some people are watching the football fans. At the Vikings game, there was a drone there. Well, it's not clear whose drone it was. The TSA is saying it wasn't their drone, but the TSA was there, wearing guns, feeling people up like they do at the airport. We know the NFL is a big fan of the TSA and their pat-downs. They've welcomed them in with their See Something, Say Something program. But this is kind of setting a new precedent. These are not law enforcement agents. They're not trained. They're not sworn. They're just given a uniform. And now they're carrying guns. And they're going to all kinds of public places. In the last year, they had over 9,000 checkpoints. As we've reported in the Viper program in Tennessee, they went through and they passed trucks through X-ray machines to test the trucks, as well as highway blocks. They're also putting TSA agents in concerts, that sort of thing. They are the transportation security agency. They are not just about airports. They're going to be everywhere if we don't stop them, and we have to stand up and stop them. Now, one of the things that we've seen is the police don't like to be filmed. They may watch us, but they don't like to be watched. We just had a man in Texas get arrested for filming a cop. Now, obviously, this cop has not gotten the memo that this is allowed. We've had the Supreme Court as well as the First Court of Appeals both ruled last year in 2012. They both ruled that we have the right to film police in public. They have no expectation of privacy. But understand what happened in this. This is a 25-year-old man, Gabriel Cabrera, began filming an incident where they were doing a traffic stop on a cell phone. And that caused a confrontation from the cop who was part of this traffic stop. Came over to him, and the man was on private property. He's on his own property. Not just private, but his own property, filming the police doing something in public and commenting on it. And because the cop believed that it was going to end up on YouTube, and it has, because he believed it was going to end up on YouTube, he asked the man for identification. And Cabrera said, what law am I breaking? And he didn't have any law that he was breaking, but basically he arrested him because he wouldn't give him ID.
Excuse me? Am I breaking am I doing any crimes?
Your ID, sir.
Am I committing any crimes?
Your ID, sir, because if this ends up on YouTube or something like that.
Sir, you're on private property, sir. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm letting you know right now, sir.
You know right now you need to show me your ID.
I don't have to show you. I'm not committing any crimes, sir.
Now you're under arrest.
Okay.
Now, the officer and the Texas police are saying that he didn't break any law, but they're appealing to the law, which is Section 3802, failure to identify. Now listen to this law. A person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence, address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person and requested the information. Now this cop had not lawfully arrested this guy. He had not done anything wrong. He's standing on his own property, his own private property, filming what the police are doing in public. That is not a violation of anything he needs to be arrested for. And the cop arrested him for not giving him ID. Now, the law says that it's an offense if, after you've been arrested, you don't give the police that information. But in this case, that clearly didn't apply. Nevertheless, Assistant Police Chief Alberto Martinez told news station KRIS-TV that he didn't see anything wrong with the officer's actions. So yet again, we have the police who don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. Now, you know, someone else besides the police who don't like to be watched are the Bilderberg people. It wasn't that long ago that everybody said Bilderberg didn't exist except for a few people like Alex Jones and InfoWars. Most people are not paying attention to him, and most people, if you talk to them about it, you get blank stares or they'd even scoff at you. Now they're getting so much attention that it's getting the Bilderberg people themselves upset. Headline here is Bilderberg elite angry over constant exposure. The elitists are furious about constant exposure. 2011 proved to be a bad year for Bilderberg. Despite choosing to host their conference halfway up a mountain in a remote Swiss resort of St. Moritz, hundreds of protesters were encamped right outside their hotel. Now, coming into America in 2012, Bilderberg was able to rely on tighter security and a compliant media that virtually blacklisted their presence. That's very easy to do. It seems like the American public is not nearly as awake as European public to this type of thing. In some respects, they're a little bit further along than we are in terms of oppression, because Goldman Sachs has been able to depose democratically elected premiers in Italy and in Greece, that sort of thing, and put Goldman Sachs bankers in their place. That hasn't happened here visibly yet. We know who pulls the strings behind the scenes, but the people there are seeing some of this. Maybe it's a little bit more obvious to them because they've seen a banker. Once we see a banker take somebody out of the Oval Office and just put themselves in that position, maybe people here will be a little bit more responsive to it at that time. But right now, most of the public is not aware of it as much in America as they are in Europe and other places. So they had a lot of press coverage there. They feel like they've been exposed, and you have to ask yourself, why do they act like they're a pastor who's trying to sneak into a topless bar when they go to these Bilderberg conferences? They're very much ashamed of what it is that they're doing. I think Jesus had a good commentary on it. He said, this is judgment, that light has come into the world, and men love the darkness rather than the light because their deeds are evil. The Bilderberg people know what they're doing. They know they're being watched. They don't like to be exposed, and neither do cops who are doing the wrong thing. You know, the cop who was up in Rochester, New York, that Jason Bermas filmed, he was not telling him to turn off the camera because he wasn't doing anything wrong. That officer was defending the Constitution. But when cops are doing the wrong thing, they don't like to be filmed, and neither does Bilderberg when they're being filmed.